everyone, this is Heather. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I've got a card tutorial for you, and I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways that you can use water-reactive inks. My card today was inspired by a sketch challenge over on the Lawn Fanatics blog, and I'm going to be using the adorable Yeti Set Go set from Lawn Fawn and water-reactive inks from Spectrum Noir. These inks are dye-based and they're slow drying, so you can use them for techniques like ink blending, splatter, watercolor, and also just regular stamping. For this card, I've got a blue cardstock base, just 8.5 by 11, cut, scored, folded in half. I'm using 110 pound weight cardstock. I've got a white square that's been cut to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. I have a piece of pink that's just slightly larger. It's 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. An extra little piece of 110 for stamping. And then I've also cut a 2.5 inch circle die. This is a stitch circle die for my little Yeti. Because I'm using water-based products today for my coloring, I'm going to be using black Stays-On ink. I've placed my circle in my stamp positioner and lined up the little Yeti. I'm just going to stamp him in the center of my circle. And I find that Stays-On ink, because it's a little bit sticky, it doesn't always give you a good impression the first time, which is why it's a really good idea to use a stamp positioning tool with it. It's also really handy to add these little additional stamps so that I can line this up perfectly. So I'm going to take the little earmuffs and line that onto my little Yeti. Pick that up and stamp those out. And now his earmuffs are perfectly aligned. And with the same black Stays-On ink, again on 110 pound weight cardstock, I've also stamped 2 of the larger trees and 1 small tree. For the background on my card, I actually designed my own pattern paper. So I used a circle stencil. This is from Dilutions from Ranger, and I recently picked this up at Tuesday morning, so it was a really good price. I'm placing my cardstock over a scrap piece of paper, placing my stencil over top, and I'm just going to tape that down to my scrap paper just so it doesn't slide around on me. So I've rotated my paper vertically, and I've got a blending brush and some of the pink tulip, and just on about the top half of this stencil, I'm just going to apply the ink in soft swirling motions, and I want it to be a little darker at the top and go to a little lighter towards the center. I've rotated my paper in the other direction, and this time I'm using ocean blue. I've grabbed another blending brush, and I'm going to do the same thing. I just want that ink to be a little bit heavier on one side and getting lighter towards the center. And I want just a little bit of overlap of that pink and blue color down the center. Leaving my stencil in place, I've got a cup of water and a paintbrush, and I want to add some nice splatters to that ink so that I can get that nice, cool, splattered look as it reacts with the water. Once I've got the water laid down, I'm going to take a paper towel and just lightly blot that. You don't want to smear it, or you'll just get like a big smudge instead of nice water droplets. And you can lift up and see if that's looking good. If not, you can put it back down and add more water or add more color, but I'm happy with the way that looks. So I've made sure that my paper is completely dry before I move on to this next step. And that is just regular stamping. You can absolutely use these inks just to stamp like you normally would. Now, I would recommend that you only do this for accents or backgrounds. I wouldn't use it as a ink and then color in with it, because most products that you would use would probably be water-based, and they might cause the ink to smear. But if you're just stamping out sentiments or a background like this, it's great for just regular stamping. So I've taken the same pink ink around the pink dots, stamped those out, and I'm doing the same with the blue, just kind of overlapping and filling that in. Now I want to show you how you can watercolor with these inks. So I have grabbed a large stamping block, and I'm just going to take the ink pad and just smear it onto the block. You can do this with any non-porous surface, a glass mat, a plastic plate, any non-porous surface. And I've smeared on the pink, tulip, and ocean blue, the same colors that I've been using. And then for a little bit of shadow under my Yeti, I'm putting just a little bit of baby blue on that block as well. So this block is now my palette. I've got my little cup of water and my paintbrush, and I'm just using a number 8. And I'm just gonna add some water to the ink and pick up some of that color and just color directly on my paper. So because I'm using 110-pound cardstock, the paint doesn't move a lot. It will move around just a little bit, but I found that with the 110-pound weight, I got a bolder color. It didn't absorb as much into the paper. But you can certainly use watercolor paper, and if you were doing a larger image, you would probably definitely want to do that on watercolor paper, just so that the paper doesn't pill up. Cleaned off my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of pink. I'm going to do his earmuffs, his little tongue. I'm going to give him some little cheeks. And do his hands, his feet, and his belly. Cleaning off my brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that baby blue and just give him a little bit of a shadow underneath. And that is really quick and simple, easy watercoloring. While I've got my paintbrush and my inks out, I am also going to do my trees. I'm going to color the 2 large trees in the blue and the little tree in the pink. So you can absolutely use this as is, but I wanted to add just a little bit of shimmer and sparkle. So I'm using some all-purpose ink from Sunico, and this is Frost White. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that with my paintbrush and put it on my block. Also add a little bit of water just to kind of dilute that a little bit. And then I'm going to go right over my images and add that really pretty sheen to it. And so it's basically turning this into a metallic watercolor. So everywhere that I added color, just going to go in and add that Frost White. So I hope you can see on camera how that adds that really wonderful shimmer to it. I'm also going to add some shimmer to my trees. So I'm going to heat set these trees, and then I don't have the die cut set for it, so I'm just going to use my scissors and just cut out each of these trees. In the lower left hand corner of my card base, I'm going to stamp the You're a Rare Find sentiment. I've applied tape runner to the back of my pattern paper, and I'm going to center that onto the pink. And in the lower left hand corner of this, I'm going to apply my little trees. I've applied adhesive to the back of the pink. I'm going to place that towards the top of my card. And I've placed foam tape on the back of my little Yeti. I'm going to place him on my card front. And here's our finished card. So now we've used the water-reactive dye pads in several different ways. We ink blended over top of a stencil and splattered on the background. We used it for regular stamping and also for watercoloring. I think these inks are really fun. They're very versatile. They come in 42 different colors. You can buy them individually, or you can also get them in packs of 3, where it has like a light, medium, and dark of like green or the pink or the blue, which is really nice, so you get a perfect gradation of color. and I will link in the description box down below where you can purchase these Spectrum Noir Water-Reactive Dye Ink Pads from Crafter's Companion. And I'll also link to the Lawn Fawn Lawn Fanatic sketch that I used as my inspiration today as well. If you like this card tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out my channel and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye.